Hi, Ghost Addicts. Welcome to the show. Please take a second to hit the five stars and subscribe. Download the podcast. Give us a nice review. If you subscribe to our YouTube channel, Storytime Fun. And if you're able to make a donation, buy me coffee, Sneakies. And if you have a great ghost story, send it to us at jobsmh@live.com. So today we have a spooky ghost story for you. And it is known as the House of Death. Ooh, spooky. So, the House of Death is located in Greenwich Village, New York. So, how many of you are listening have been to New York City? Y'all go to Broadway and everything like that, and the Macy's Parade, and see all your Broadway shows. But have you been to the House of Death, where there are some 22 ghosts haunting this red brick old, what do you call it, brownstone? So it's like red colored brownstone, and it kind of looks very creepy. And it was built in 1856, and it's located on West 10th Street in Greenwich Village. And it is known as, I'm not kidding, the House of Death. And so yeah, and lots of famous people live there. And if you're a writer or an actor or an artist buff, you'll really want to know about this, because this is a place where Mark Twain, the author and writer, did live here. So let's get into the story and find out why there are 22 ghosts that have been spotted roaming the halls, creeping about and showing their little ghouly faces. So yes, Mark Twain lived there for about, like, very short time, like I think 12 months, from 1900 to 1901. And he had some very supernatural experiences with some apparitions. And yeah, and even a famous actress lived there, and even a psychic, Joan Bryant Bartell. They saw a monstrous, creepy apparition. And when they touched it, they said they felt a substance, like a mist or cloud of ether, and her fingers were freezing or frozen at the tips, and they were numb. They were numb when they touched this apparition, and her fingers were numb and frozen and tingled. And then they had smelled this scent, this sweet scent. So very creepy. So let's find out. So this brownstone in Greenwich Village, New York, was built in 1856, and like I said, it's on West 10th Street. And uh, yeah, like I said, many beautiful and rich people live in this big brownstone. Um, the Underground Railroad person, Mr. James Borman Johnson, he had the reading room, library, and the famed 10th Street studio, where they had galleries and an annual funding for the residential artists. So it seems like, they were funding artists, which we like that. So let's see. So after the Borman family stopped living there, then it seemed like some bad luck or some ghost things started happen. There was a cycling celebrity called Fred H. Andrews. So he was famous for cycling, and then he had hit a a 8-year-old boy, and the boy had a broken leg, and so Andrew got in trouble for that. So then apparently Mark Twain lived in the house, and that was a time when, he was battling bankruptcy. He was doing his classic works. He supposedly was depressed, and he was a very notable ghost skeptic. But he talks about seeing a large piece of wood moving in the air all by itself. Can you imagine writing The Tale of Two Cities, or Mark Twain, um, Tom Finn, Huckleberry Finn. You're writing the story, adventures, and you see a piece of wood floating in the air, and you're thinking, how much moonshine did I drink tonight so I could write? And then so what does a person do back then? He had a gun and he shot the piece of wood because he thought a rat. And they're saying like there's a lot of rats in New York, so there are more rats than people. That rats outnumber people in New York. Oh my gosh. Oh geez. And so he shot the piece of wood because he thought a rat was moving it. But how is a rat able to fly in the air? And like, was it like the piece of wood on the counter and cruising around, or was in the air, or however he saw it? So he shot it with his gun, and then the wood fell, and there was drops of blood, and there was no person and no rat. So it was like ghost blood or something spooky, strange and weird and unexplained phenomena. So he apparently said, "I'm out of here. Ghost or no ghost, there's something strange with flying wood with no rats underneath it." So he left. Probably wrote some good stories after that. And after that, it was this tur- uh, the it was turned into a co-op building, and so there was 10 condo apartments in there. And then after that, a new mother and her daughter said that they saw Mark Twain's ghost perched on the window seat, and he approached the mother and daughter very nonchalantly and saying, "Oh, my name is Clemens, and I has a problem here. I gotta settle." With this nice twangy accent. And his name was as you know, Mark Twain's real name uh was his real name was Clemens. So Clemens. So when he said my name is Clemens, that Mark Twain was just his author's name. We all have our author's name. So can you imagine you're there with your daughter, the new resident mother and daughter living in the co-op, and Mark Twain's ghost was like, "Oh, hello, my name is Clemens, and I have a problem here. Oh, God, a settle. Yeah, yeah. I shot a wood in the air." And the mom and little girl goes, "Mommy, what happened to the man with the mustache?" And she's like, "Oh, it's a ghost." So, and then his spirit or apparition disappeared in the air. And maybe that was when he was going into the bankruptcy part. They said that when he lived there, he was going through some financial problems. And so, you know, Mark Twain, they said he died in Danbury, Connecticut, not at the New York house, but his apparition appears at the Greenwich house. So they're saying Jan Bryant Bertel and her daughter, they took up residency on the top floor, and the famous actress and psychic and writer moved into an apartment where used to house the servants, and they saw something. That's when they saw this, that's quote unquote a monstrous moving shadow. Okay, that's the last thing you want to see when you're describing the shadow. Not like, oh, it's like a little floating boy, or it's something floating, but when you actually put a description of monstrous moving shadow, that thing is spooky and one thing you don't want to stick around for. When you're describing as monstrous, that meant it was hideous and ugly and very, very, very scary. They probably did not have a great encounter with that at all. And they said it would follow her around the house. And she writes that she's seen the ghostly figure of a man standing in the hallway. I don't know why she's living there and why she didn't get out. I mean, get out, move out. And they're just hanging out. Oh, yeah, if it was a monstrous thing, I'm not scared at all. So she tried to touch it, and she said it's something like she's never felt before, and described it, like I said, a substance without substance, quote unquote. It was chilly. Oh, marshmallows, cloud of ether, damp, freezing. Her hands were fringes at the tips, numb, tingling. And yeah, and then there was a scent that came afterward, and that was sweet, and just it was unusual scent. and people would smell these scents over around here. And if and especially of food that they didn't buy. So, and it was like the food was apparently rotting as if it's been sitting around for days. So, um, yeah. So, and then they said that a lot of people that lived in the building, their pets or dogs or animals would become very, very aggressive for no reason. It's like the animals were being disturbed by the, ghost in the building, so the animals definitely saw something moving around, and, so Bartell, they said she believed, and, she actually had a paranormal expert to come investigate to see what um, these apparitions were that were scaring them and the residents, and the, paranormal expert confirmed that there was 22 spirits at the house, and they said not only Mark Twain, there was a woman in a white dress. Why is it always a woman in a white dress? It's like can't be a blue dress or green dress. Um, there's a young girl and even a gray cat. So maybe that's what those dogs were barking at. There's a cat, invisible cat. The cats even are bothering us as an invisible cat. How we're going to catch it? And so Bartell wrote about her experiences and, you know, while she was living at 14th West 10th Street and called the, um, the, the, what she wrote called Spindrift spray from a psychic sea. And, she says her experiences, what it's like to live in a house that's possessed. And her book was well received. So if you want to check out Spindrift, she'll tell you all her, you know, her experiences while living at the House of Death. So, I'm trying to figure out why they name it House of Death. You're like, well, why they name it House of Death? So this is where it comes, like a game of 10 little Indians, quote unquote, deaths began to occur at the house. So see, you were like, when is she going to get to the deaths, house of deaths? So the first to die was, oh no, you guys, you ready? A dog, that cat. Oh, so Jan's dog, Jan's beloved Penelope. Uh, oh gosh. So I guess the first to die was dog, and and then the first human tenant, they don't know if it was heart attack, suicide, or murder, but then all of a sudden it was like deaths, 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 and so Bartell then finally took a hint. She moved away from Greenwich Village, but they're saying the hauntings followed them. Um, ooh, so I guess when you write about the ghosts, or they followed her. So they're saying Bartell died shortly after completing her manuscript, Jan Bartell, under mysterious circumstances, and what people consider mysterious circumstances. So, I don't know if you wanna go visit the House of Death. Like, this one just seems like, let's just listen to the podcast from afar and be safe. And, she did get her manuscripts completed, but, I don't know if they're saying she suffered depressive episodes or rumors of suicide attempts, but, um, it's all led to the legend of the House of Death and how it is cursed, and so this is something that that put the House of Death for the doubters and all the people that are like whatever. On November 2nd, 1987, a New York City witnessed a very terrible tragedy at the House of Death, the murder of Lisa Nussbaum. Um, just really terrible. So they're saying a 911 operator got a call from the children's author and editor, Hedda Nussbaum. She said that her 6-year-old daughter wasn't breathing. So, of course, an ambulance was sent to the residence. And when the paramedics arrived, they found Lisa lying naked and unresponsive. So the daughter Lisa was there naked on the kitchen floor with her brother Mitchell, tied to the playpen and soaked in his own urine. So this is very sad. I thought it was just going to be a ghost, but when you got House of Death and n- uh, Miss Nosbaum, Hedda Nussbaum, was covered with bruises and had several broken bones. And then they're saying they cover the investigators found marijuana, cocaine, hashish, and over 20 crack pipes and $25,000 cash at the apartment. So, ghosts are just a very unhealthy cocaine, marijuana, hashish, crack pipes gone wrong. Oh, that's terrible. This is just really terrible. This is just really terrible. Ghost story, sadness. Lisa Nussbaum couldn't be revived, and they're just saying that the autopsy revealed that her death was repeated blunt force trauma to the skull. Very, very, very sad. The little girl, and Hedda, as Nussbaum's lawyer, Joe Steinberg, Lisa's father. Oh, just were got charged with first degree murder. Apparently a cocaine binge. Oh, this is just oh, whew, this is just awful, awful House of Death. So the House of Deaths, spread. It seemed to spread to neighbors, and the apartment next door to this brownstone townhouse, they started noticing flickering of lights. They saw ghostly female figures in long gowns walking in the corridor. It's always long gowns. Might as well say white gowns. And the resident photographer seen her floating through doors. So they see lights flickering, ghostly figures wandering. And so just classic brownstone. So this is a very, very sad tale, and currently the brownstone is in private ownership, and very, very sad hauntings and very tragic, tragic, tragic story here. This ghost story has Mark Twain there, but this one was just very tragic ghost story. But when something is that scary and spooky and not having positive vibes, that's when you go, get out, go to positive vibes, go find positive energy and positive vibes. So if we learn anything from this, live somewhere with positive energy and positive people. So I hope you enjoyed this story. This was a spooky, scary one, and really sad and tragic at the same time. So have a very happy week. Stay healthy, and thank you for listening and subscribing and downloading.